Hi, everybody. Welcome to the next episode of KapVista Klips. Today, I've got Rod here from Extracta, and we're going to be talking about his exciting opportunity. I won't take too much more time getting into it. Welcome, Rod. Thanks for jumping on.
Thanks, Daniel. Thank you.
So we're going to kick straight off because I'm interested to hear exactly, what's your story? How did you get to this point, and how did you find yourself in this industry?
Yeah, good question. I started off my university days were technical. I did science degrees and went straight into food technology, which is all these years later has been massively helpful. Because I like working with people more than chemicals, I went into operations management and general management, logistics, and eventually sales, and even did a little bit of M&A. But that was through a number of companies, all big global companies, which enabled me to travel around quite a lot. I was at the C-level on several different companies in different countries. And at the end of it, I really enjoyed it. I genuinely enjoyed it. But you get to a point in your life where you want to actually be a bigger cog in a business, and I wanted to make a difference. I mean, for example, in one of the companies I worked in, we produced a whole bunch of products which really aren't that healthy. Now they're ethical products. It's a branded name, company name, and I'm quite proud of what I achieved there. But they're not that healthy. And so I had this opportunity with a partner to go into this business, Extracta, and produce really healthy ingredients for the Australian food industry. So it was a no-brainer.
Okay, awesome. So, tell us more about Extracta. If I'm putting my customer hat on, help me understand the solution.
Oh, well, if you're a customer, you're going to be initially a food company, or indeed a food distributor. A distributor, or indeed a food company that uses natural Australian plant-based ingredients. Now, going back, my partner and I, he's a technical fellow, and we were up in Bundaberg, and we saw how much waste fruit and veg and other things are being just left on the ground or thrown away. And that was just ridiculous. Not only is it a waste, but there's a lot of commercial opportunity there. The big retailers won't take blemished fruit and veg. And so we saw the opportunity, got together, realised we had not only the technology. I'd built a lot of factories for Sweps and a few other companies. And so we know how to build factories. We've got great technology, good associations with universities and other technical organisations. We had in our network marketing and sales people, but also distributorships here and overseas. So it was really, again, quite an obvious step to go from big business, corporate stuff, to a small business that we could actually, we knew, it sounds arrogant, we knew exactly how to do this. Because of our backgrounds. And so we formed Extracta, and we've already processed some waste from the wine industry. We've got many tons being processed right now, and that is currently being thrown away, tragically. And the nutrients that are in that waste are being purchased today by many wine companies, and they're imported from overseas. Crazy stuff. And so we knew how to make them and sell them, and we've got contracts in place. Okay. Some of them are handshakes, some of them are written.
Okay, perfect. And tell me the team behind it.
I'm sorry, the team. So there's my technical team, my technical partner and he and I were in a technology business offering technical services to other companies, a range of technical services. And we got together, and we'd already put on board one of the other businesses within the group, marketing and sales, and a CFO to make sure we the admin and the finances are done well. And so we had networks. We acquired the people, is that the right way to put it? We engaged the people one at a time as the need arose. First person we put on board was a marketing and sales person. We then got a an administration person. Then we got a CFO because we were starting to raise serious amounts of money. We were managing, multi-million-dollar grants. That has to be done, of course, correctly, and feedback from government and reports. So we needed someone to do all that. We then realised we wanted some corporate governance, and we've got a gentleman who helps us with corporate governance. He does it by way of advisement rather than being on the board. And the network of distributors, we acquired them just one by one as the need arose. I've travelled a lot in the US, and so we've got some excellent established partners in the US through just through long-term associations.
Okay, so you're not recycling, but you're utilising waste food products and and reusing it for and refitting it for a new purpose. And you've got clients, distribution partners across the world who are buying this. So it's not only a sustainability play, but it's also an agriculture play.
Very much. I mean, the basic emotion that we encountered was just seeing so much good, valuable food thrown away. That just seemed wrong. And then we realised there's a great commercial opportunity. We're recycling, reusing, repurposing waste, literally, that gets thrown on the field. Wineries, for example, after they crush the grapes, the skin, seeds and stalks and stuff left. That's called grape mark. And there's one company's got 30,000 tonnes of it, and they just let it rot. It's not true. They don't let all of it rot, but they let a lot of it rot. Some smaller wineries let it all rot. Just a waste. And then they go out and buy some of the products that are contained in the waste. So we're now taking that, processing it into that part of it's relatively straightforward process for within our business, because we've done that before, and we sell a variety of products. So we're going to sell grape skin flour, both red and white, different applications. Other businesses within our group use them already, buying them from overseas. Grape oil, oil is a retail. It's a commodity product, not big volume, but it's there. It's easy to extract, so we're going to do that. We will make pectin. Now, pectin's a really interesting one because when I used to run the operations director of Cotties, and of course we made a lot of jam, and I imported all that pectin. Pectin is a setting agent. It's got a lot of other health qualities, but it's a setting agent for jams and conserves and stuff, and it's all imported. And we can get, people throw away orange and apple skins and pulp, and that's where the pectin is. Get from other places as well. It's crazy, and it's quite straightforward to extract. When I was in corporate life, we used to buy it, and it was made in Australia at that stage. Surprise, surprise, it no longer is. So not only is it not made in Australia, some of the users, and we know many of the smaller jam users, they've committed to buy from us because we can do it a lot cheaper and still make a very nice margin. But they're worried about the sorry, I didn't turn that off. They're worried about the import problems. Some of them are stockpiling 6 and 8 months of pectin in their stores, paying for the working capital because they've got an unreliable supply, and it's made in Australia. They'll immediately buy from us. Most of them will definitely, and we haven't finished negotiation with all of them, of course. The bigger ones will be harder to get because I want cheaper price. But for example, we can make pectin for about, I'm going to say $8, but at worst $10 cost of goods a kilogram. I'm buying it for my other business. I'm paying $58 a kilo, and it takes me 6 months to get.
Wow.
I mean, this is crazy.
So there is a demand for it.
Pectin, yeah, absolutely. About 150 tonnes a year in Australia. We also know that most of the pectin in the US is imported. In fact, I think it all is. Certainly the vast majority definitely is. And our US agents are saying, yeah, well, we can export it from here to the US. People would rather buy it from the US. Companies would rather buy it from Australia than China.
Yeah,
of course.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you are currently processing this and you've got the distribution. Is it live generating revenue at the moment?
No, well, the pectin is not. The Great Mark is. We're processing that as we go. Some of the Great Mark is being used internally by one of our other businesses. It's a health business, and we're not. No, we're not in full revenue mode with Extracta. We won't be until we grow a little bit further. And in fact, the funding that we're currently raising, and we're well advanced with that, is to complete the factory. So there's a factory for Great Mark and one or two other products, and an extension of that will be for pectin.
Okay, perfect. So I have a good understanding of the actual supply chain. Are you buying from these wineries, or are they selling it? Are they?
Yeah, good question.
To get rid of it.
That's a really good question. The apples and oranges, we get most of that for nothing because all for the cost of picking it up and carting it away.
Yeah.
I'll answer the orange one is interesting. We first discovered this in Bundaberg in 2016. You can't leave oranges on the ground because the acid inherently in an orange wrecks the soil for the crop next year. So they've got to be picked up, and that costs the farmer money. So if we're prepared to go in there and pick it up, who give it to us for nothing. There's an apple producer in Orange. They're happy to give it to us as well. We will pay something, a very low cost for the skins of oranges and lemons, which is where you get the pectin. So someone takes the orange and the lemon, squeezes it, takes the juice, sells it for orange juice, and what's left is very high in pectin, and we can use that. We'll have to pay a very small fee for that.
Yeah, so it's minimal cost upfront for the raw materials. You can extract it
very low cost,
and then make
very low cost,
really high margins on the product that you sell. So it's a really interesting offering.
It's an interesting model. The cost that we've got today is either for nothing or the cost of transport away from the farm, or about 5% of the original cost of the orange.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So tell me about the industry. I mean, what's the demand going to be like going forward? You know, as we start to produce more and more processed foods, is the demand? Is it an increase in demand?
Oh, yes. Different commodities or different products. The first one we're very keen to do is what's left over after people crush sugar cane, and they take the sugar, of course, and we don't want the sugar. It's not that healthy for you. And so we take what's left. And that we've got within our group, a different company, a commercial demand for 50 next year, probably 70 next year ton. And 200 tonne a year and a bit later. And that's based on relationships and customer demand that we've got in writing. We can't supply now, and they're saying, well, if you can't supply, we won't buy much at all. But if you can supply 2 or 3 tonne a month for each of these various customers, they'll give us an order for 2 or 3 tonne a month. There's one in the Philippines, there's one in another part of Asia not signed, and there's several in the US that are waiting on us to be able to guarantee long-term supply. That's one that's just sugarcane, bagasse it's called. The Great Mark, there's a number of small customers. They're not huge yet. I don't have a large customer signed for that, but it's an existing market to sell it online. And so we've got one small customer in the US wants red grape skin flour in capsules, which we can do, and they're currently paying $90 US per month per person, and we can supply that for about a quarter of that. So we've got a lot of small customers there. As yet, I do not have a large customer for Great Mark, nor grape seed oil, but we can sell it online as a commodity. You can Google it; it's available. It's there. All we do is package it, and that's part of our capability. So we can sell small quantities at average margin. And next phase, after we get the next year out of the way, we'll start developing a higher quality product, which we can sell some of the products. We even sell into the medicinal markets.
Okay.
And pectin will be a commercial demand in Australia, about 150 tonne. We won't get all of that, obviously. We probably get about 30% of it, though, and we will get a big chunk of the US market because it's available, and they'd rather buy in Australia than China.
Yeah. So, I'm thinking about the pain points experienced by your customers on both sides. So for the farmer, there's a cost involved for them to getting rid of this extract product. So or the winery, let's say, for example. So the winery will buy the grapes, or they have the grapes, they make the wine out of it, and then the leftover product they have to pay to get rid of it. So if you're coming in and saying we will buy it off you for very small, it's another revenue stream for the winery and the same process farmer.
The answer to that question varies depending on the particular product. It's interesting with grape mark. Large companies, and one company I'm dealing with produces a bit over 30,000 tonnes. It's a huge amount, massive company, one of the biggest brand name in Australia. Massive amounts, and they do try and process it, but not very cost effectively. And it's not sustainable. That's why they're talking to us. Another company we're dealing with, where we're building our factory out in Orange, they actually leave it in the field. They just let it rot. They crush the grapes, take the grape mark in skips, take it out of the field and let it rot. And it's very good in terms of fertilizer, but obviously not very cost effective because it's worth a lot of money.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
Okay, great. I mean, and then tell me about the milestones you've achieved. When did you start the company, and what's the milestones you've achieved so far?
We very smartly chose to start it just when COVID hit, so that played havoc. Although we've made fantastic progress in spite of that. I mean, it has slowed us down. The first thing we did was raise seed funding, and we're currently doing back on the funding road again. Seed funding got us going, set us up, developed a few paths to market. We didn't have paths to market for all the products we're selling, did all that. The next thing, we started a factory, and we've got partnerships with a number of wineries where we can get all the wine we want, all the wine mark we want, and that thing's partly completed, but not fully completed. We've actually got 2 government grants, and this is, apart from the people we've got on board, this is probably the biggest achievement. We've got 2 grants. One is a grant to help us with Macquarie University, government grant through a university, to help us develop next phase products. In other words, the higher value products that we can develop from the raw ingredients we've got. And that's $1 million or more. That's working with Macquarie University. The other grant we've got is through the Fight Food Waste CRC, through Queensland University of Technology, and that is an R&D project for the grape industry. It enables us to put most of the factory together, though, which will process all of the products we're going to do. It's $1.6 million, and the university are partnered with us, actively working with us. They're very excited because we're breaking new ground, and that's what R&D is for, and that's why the grant was provided. That's a massive shot in the arm for us. We engage an engineer in the back of that, the University of Engineers, but we've engaged our own engineer to oversee the whole thing because clearly we're a commercial operation. We've got a sales team through the networks of our other businesses, ready to go and actively talking to people. I mentioned we've got a partnership with a winery in New South Wales, and all the path to market. So we've established everything we need to do. We've got a number of investors that have recently asked us to visit them again. They're in the wine region, New South Wales wine region, to report progress, and they're suggesting they want to put a bit more in. So we're really, particularly for a COVID launch, we're happy. We're probably happier than we have a right to be.
Now, tell us about the raise. This is the interesting part. How much you're raising? What's it being used for? What's the offer? And what's the momentum so far?
Yeah, sure. We're raising $2 million. We all of our calculations say we don't need that much, but as you know, you always spend more and it takes longer, etc. So we're targeting $2 million. It's primarily will purchase all of the equipment we need for the range, grape mark, sugarcane, and pectin initially. All of it. In fact, it's more than enough for that. We built several of these factories in the past. We know what they cost. So it'll be to finish the construction of the factories. It will be also to all the selling costs. I've just engaged a digital agency. We'll do online selling through a full-on digital agency. Website's been built, just being upgraded again as we speak. And I'll sell B2B, for which I need a full-time salesperson. That'll be included. Just in Australia, initially just in Australia.
Yeah.
We've got an agent through another business in the US, and we'll travel there. We just got an export grant, government helping us travel and sell export products. So we'll be able to sell the products within our networks in the US as well. That's basically how it's going to be. It's all about growth, building capacity and growing sales.
Perfect.
The offer itself, the last we've raised about 400 in the last few months. It's not all in. Some of it is, some of it isn't, but it's on the, there's people put it in on tranches as they sell assets. It's all fair enough. The last sale was at 41 cents. It's a pre-money value of about 3.5 million. There are no preference shares, and all of the retail investors at this stage, there's only a relatively small amount of them. We keep them informed. If a large institution wants to come on board, obviously they're going to ask us to think long and hard about the price, and for a large investment, we can do that.
Perfect. Okay, great. I mean, we'll wrap it up there and we'll leave it there because I want to keep it as brief as possible. But it gives us a very good insight into the Extracta business. Now, anybody who's watching this episode, if you need to get in contact with Rod, please reach out to me and I can make a direct introduction. I think it's a great opportunity, especially in the sustainability and the agriculture space. But what they're doing is really changing the food waste market. So thanks for jumping on with me. It's been great to chat to you, and we'll start to drive people your way, both investors and people in the wine and fruit industry. Perfect.
That's great, Daniel. Many thanks.
Thanks for that. Bye.
Cheers.